New details from the USDA show that a record 58 million chickens have caught bird flu in this past year. And more people are now turning to backyard chickens because egg prices are going up, among other things. So now people are getting these backyard eggs. And as some people are discovering, their chickens are stopping laying eggs mysteriously. This is a very interesting scenario that Candace Owens actually highlighted recently. I'm about to have some experts on to talk about what might really be going on here, but check out this crazy story.
Going on that the chicken feed, right? What the farmers feed their chickens has somehow been tainted, and it has led to none of these chickens being able to lay eggs. So a young woman on TikTok began investigating. She thought it was very strange. She started talking to people locally, and it's the same thing. They're saying, yeah, no, they're not laying eggs. And this started around September. And she starts looking at the feed. Okay, what are we all feeding our chickens? And apparently there's not very many distributors of chicken feed. And she determines that there's two main ones. And actually she discovers that it's just one main one, and it's Purina. Purina is the main owner of the chicken feed that they are all feeding. She goes down and she decides to switch up the feed, and immediately the chicken begins to start laying eggs again. Here is where it is going to get very, very interesting.
So bizarre. Okay, we're hearing these strange stories. Guys, the chicken fires continue, the chickens being killed in mass at different egg laying plants. So we're going to talk about everything that's really going on. So I'm about to have my friends Chicken Mike and Nicole Graham join us to explain some of this. But first, shout out to the sponsor of my coverage. Noble Gold Investments is pleased to let you know that gold is the best investment class of 2022. Real estate, crypto, stocks, and bonds, gold outperformed all of them in 2022. So what are you waiting for? Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of clients buy real physical gold. Open a gold IRA or silver IRA with Noble Gold Investments this month and receive a free quarter-ounce American Gold Eagle coin with every qualifying IRA of $50,000 or more. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold Investments and their thousands of five-star reviews. If you're not ready to invest, download the Noble Gold Investment Guide, link down in my description, Ivory Hecker Gold. If you're on your phone, hit the More button to get that link. There's always a risk with any investment, but I love Noble Gold. Okay, with that being said, let's bring on Chicken Mike and Nicole Graham. How are you guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing well. Okay, what is your take on this crazy idea that, people are having backyard chickens and that the brand of their feed could be causing them to stop laying eggs? First, for the viewers who don't know, you guys helped create backyard chicken coops for people everywhere. So you guys have countless clients with backyard chickens. So give me your take on this.
Sure. So on top of us just building coops, we also facilitate and take care of 14 full-time coops that are in the Houston and surrounding areas. One's at a drug rehabilitation center. 3 are at private schools, and the rest are at private residents. And basically, Nicole, on a weekly basis, goes in and out of these coops, cleans them, makes sure that they're healthy, feeds them, make sure that the water levels are good, the vitamins are sufficient. And a lot of these clients are fed the Purina brand food. If they have the generic service with us, they get the Purina food. And a lot of our clients are not experiencing egg loss right now. We have 2 of them that are. One of those people switched their food. And she kind of stayed the same with her egg production. It just could be a variant of some other things.
Wow. Okay. You were telling me about a story that Tucker Carlson featured recently. He featured a guy whose chicken mysteriously stopped laying eggs. And you said this actually might be someone misunderstanding how chickens work. So first, let's clear up any misunderstanding before we get into more crazy stuff.
Sure. And Nicole can go into further detail, but chickens will molt 2 times a year. And if you don't have chickens that are of different ages and stagger your flock, they're all going to molt continuously at the same time, which they stop egg production. And you can explain what molting is.
Well, molting is where they lose pretty much a large amount of their feathers, as he said, twice a year. other factors can go into lack of laying, lack of protein, lack of vitamin D, anything that nutritionally sufficiently doesn't, add up to what it is they exactly need can hamper that. Stress can hamper that. Wintertime can hamper
Lack
that.
of vitamin D.
Yes. And so the reality is there's multiple factors, not just the feed, that can cause a chicken to stop laying eggs.
Okay, so that could be part of it. Nevertheless, egg production across the nation is way down. We're looking at the USDA.gov website right now, where they've been tracking bird flu, and there's currently 58 million birds, primarily chickens and some ducks, affected, including 5 million that they tracked in December who caught bird flu. And when these chickens catch bird flu, they traditionally just kill them all. That's why we may have seen headlines in the past months of millions of chickens dying. It's because their owners killed them to prevent the spread of bird flu. So what's your take on that? Just like, let's just kill our entire flock. And what should, I guess, someone who wants backyard chickens do to avoid this?
So once again, I look at the USDA, and you got to take a grain of salt at where they're getting their information as well. Nicole and I have been lobbying the state of Texas for the legalization of backyard chickens for many years now, all the way up to the state capitol, and we've spoken in front of state Senate committees. And the only opposition we've ever had is what I'm going to call big chicken, like big farm. And basically, we have these folks that are from an organization that may have their pockets dented a little bit if there's a large backyard chicken movement. For instance, if you go to your local feed stores right now, there's lines out the door sometimes in some places to get baby chicks when they get their shipments in. So if that's the case, you're having an inundation of new people that are raising chickens in the backyard and cultivating eggs on their own, therefore buying less eggs at the store. So anything that can be fear mongered up to keep people from wanting to do that, or scare people into not wanting to do it because it sounds hard and difficult and scary, that they're going to do that. But okay. I will tell you this. I will say this about the Purina thing and the feed and the shortage of eggs. I understand, Nestle is the owner of Purina Corporation, and but they have to buy products from Chinese farms because a lot of the Chinese are buying up our farms locally here in the United States, which are being produced, the corn and Milo and millet and all that stuff that's being produced for feeds. They're actually producing that themselves and selling that to Nestle.
So Purina food is coming from China?
No, I'm not saying it's coming from China, but I'm saying China has a hand in it, potentially has a hand in it with the production of the farm-raised products that go into the feed, if that makes sense.
Wow. Okay, here's another, for example, this is just one of the many headlines we've seen over the past year. And guys, this one just came out last week. Pennsylvania has 4.6 million fewer egg-laying hens due to avian flu. That means that they killed the chickens. Some of the chickens actually died of the flu, but most of them got killed to prevent the spread.
So when the government's regulating that, they're going to come in there with their rules and they're going to say you have to kill every one of them. And then that's another giant number of 4.6 million. I don't necessarily think that's always the answer.
Yeah, I think there's probably insurance on that. I'm sure the farmers have their insurance, but then egg production goes way down and then the consumers bear the cost of that.
Sure.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so I posted this YouTube short the other day. I showed this to you guys to get your take on this because I went up to this farm in Conroe, which is on the outskirts of Houston, to get this raw milk that I like to drink. And they also had eggs there. But the farmer actually told me, because I'm really looking for pasture raised eggs. They're the healthiest, right? And this farmer told me that the government is currently preventing him. The USDA came in and said, you are not allowed to let your chickens outside right now. That's what makes them pasture raised, is they get to be outside. But I guess they can't go outside because they might catch bird flu from a passing wild bird that might poop down on their their coop.
Does that sound eerily like our recent history a little bit?
It sounds like the human issue. Stay
Yeah,
indoors,
that's what I'm
guys.
saying. So check this out. And there's one reason why what I'm going to say big chicken or our government might like that to happen. So when you have 3 different kinds of eggs, and Nicole can display the 3 different kinds, we got some props for you.
We did.
So you have a
So you
caged
have your
egg. So the
cage-free.
language is cage free, right?
Uh-huh.
Then you have your free range.
Your free range,
Okay.
non-GMO.
And then you have what you're calling your pasture
Your
raised egg.
pasture-raised heirloom.
And this is what
eggs.
you're looking for when you're searching for eggs. This is
Yeah.
what,
Right.
what I'm,
And
so,
I figured if I'm going out to an actual farm in the wilderness outside of Houston, that those chickens are going to be pasture raised. But no, they
so
were
think
a
about-
big enough farm for the USDA to swoop in and say, don't you let your chicken outside.
So what happens is when you have a definition by pasture raised, that chicken is actually one chicken is provided over 100 square feet of roaming space outside by itself.
Yeah, you
Where-
gave me this picture actually.
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
So pasture raised means the chicken has access to this whole circle in rotation, right?
Yep.
And then
And so-
this,
And so basically what you're looking at right here is the free range has 2 square feet per chicken outside to roam. And then the
Right.
cage free is 1 square feet. And a lot of times cage free ones don't even have an outside element to their place. It's just an inside barn where they're basically shoulder to shoulder, but they're not in a battery cage per se. And there's, I'll go back to my point that I was making. There is one reason why a big chicken would like this to happen, because what happens, Ivory, when you keep these chickens indoors, you have to medicate them more. You have to supplement more things into their diet. You have to give them
Yes.
more feeds that are not natural to them. They don't get the sunlight. They don't get the bugs. They don't get the grass. They don't get all the things that go into making a quality pasture raised egg.
And a lot of times they're also supplemented by artificial lighting systems that are on 24/7.
Which can
meaning
catch
they
fire.
Which can catch fire, number one. And number two, can stress the chickens out tremendously, which leads to sickness as well.
you know, I was saying in that YouTube short I just showed that you can kind of tell if the chicken's pasture raised by the color of its yolk. Is that right?
Yes, you can.
For the most part, and I will say, you'll have the anomaly that we'll crack open these pasture raised eggs right here. And there could be one chicken that doesn't have one as vibrant as the others, but
Didn't get
for
as many omega-3s.
exactly.
Or
For the
whatever
most
case
part,
may be.
yes, you should see a more vibrant color. And also what you're looking for in the health of your egg is that you crack it open and look at it. It's going to stand up really tall, like the astrodome. So it's kind of have a domed effect, and it's not going to be flat. So the flatter the egg is, the older it may be and the less quality egg might.
So the yolk should be like kind of
Stand tall.
firm
And stand tall.
once it's cracked into the pan.
And you can also tell by the
Wow.
eggshells as well. The eggshells have a tendency not to just be as brittle and break easily. They
Right,
usually,
they're firmer as well. They're harder to break.
yes, harder.
Totally. You know, I used to raise chickens as a kid, so I can agree. Okay, so here's another recent article. I mean, it's crazy. This stuff is still happening. This actually came out 2 days ago. Fears of worsening egg shortage in New Zealand as fire kills 50,000 hens at farm. We just keep seeing these fires and these the bird flu. Between the fires and the bird flu, it's like, has this always happened? I'm trying to rack my brain. Here's another one. The Hill. This is from January 30th. Just last week, 100,000 chickens die in fire at Connecticut egg farm. I mean, how common? I mean, prior to this, was this happening prior to this past year?
A lot of out of the 14 clients that we have that we care for on a weekly basis, none of these folks keep heat lamps in their coops because they're not needed. Like Nicole was saying, they will stress animals out. If you're trying to up your egg production, people may incorporate those. But for the cold aspect, chickens can be in freezing temperatures and not have any issues.
Yes, absolutely.
They're fully feathered and they're equipped to be in really cold elements. That being said, in these caged environments where these large farms operate in the barns,
In such close proximity,
So-
these
and they
animals are shoved into these small
and
confined
they have a lot more
spaces.
electronics. They have a lot more things that could short and maybe catch fire. So I don't know if that's a culprit of what's going on right now, but it is kind of weird.
But
Yeah.
I will also say on a separate note, with keeping as many clients as we do and maintaining as many backyard flocks as we do, including our own, wild birds are always present. So are any form of, things that come through. Fowl pox is another thing, for instance, that chickens can catch, not just avian flu. I've been doing this for a very long time, and the truth is I've never come across any of that kind of stuff.
Hold on, you have a chicken there. Let's see it.
We do. She's on the mend. I'll actually go get her.
We have
out.
her in the garage here with us. She's in her little triage. But
Oh,
what's
nice.
interesting about fowl pox? Fowl pox in chickens, once the chickens survive it and overcome it, they'll never get it again. So sometimes jumping the gun and slaughtering the flock is not always the answer.
Special guest.
Right.
Keep her quiet.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I want a chicken so bad. Just one to start with.
You want to get two. You want to get two, so you got a companion, so they're not lonely. But if you had two, you'd have plenty of eggs.
Okay, so perfect. Yeah, because they each one lays one a day.
Well, pretty much. It takes about 25 hours or so for them to produce an egg. So it's almost like about in one given week, if you had 5 to 6 eggs, it's a really great week.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to get into your tips for people who want to own their own chickens because that's your expertise. But before that, we've got to jump into this new talking point everyone's talking about, guys. I blotted out the keywords so that the YouTube bots can't take me down because YouTube doesn't like me discussing this. But look at this study. Look at this study. Chicken egg yolk antibodies block the binding of multiple spike protein variants from the new illness to humans, ACE2 receptors. So this study is talking about how maybe eggs can, keep you healthy against pandemics. And Stu Peters actually posted this and said, in case it seems weird that all those chickens are being killed, I'll just leave this right here. Crazy.
Yeah, it does, especially if it's a natural thing. Like some people even say cannabis has been linked to helping antibodies, and I think that could attribute to a lot of people's natural immunity, natural health, and especially with people that eat a lot of eggs, that could be Big Pharma could be worried about that.
How have you guys fared? You guys eat a lot of eggs?
We eat a ton of eggs.
I eat probably close to 8 a day.
And
some days.
The left side would like us more medicated. We're not a medicated family, if you know what I mean. And we've not really experienced anything like other people have.
As far as getting this illness multiple times and all that.
No, we have actually been very lucky, if you want to put it that way.
So maybe, you guys kind of back up the study. It's funny, though, when influencers like Stu Peters started to share this study, the fact checkers came circling the wagons. AP just came out with a story yesterday saying the study does not prove that egg yolks protect against the pandemic. So interesting.
It is interesting.
Okay, so let's get into what to do if you want to have your own backyard chickens. How feasible is that?
Sure. So first of all, like here in Houston, we've had this Facebook group called the Houston Area Backyard Chickens Group. And at the end of the summer, I want to say we had just shy of 2,000 members. And now currently, I think there's 7,700 members. And that's just in a few short months. And that's been kind of like a craze what's going on. And people start anywhere. You can start online and go to the feed store and buy your own coop offline. You can call your local handyman. You can call somebody locally in Houston like Nicole and I. And basically what we do for a client, I'll give you our personal experience, is that we'll get a phone call and we get about 5 of these a week, and we'll go out and do a free consultation in the backyard and take a look at your yard, give you some pointers and some tips, listen to what your needs are, see how many folks are in your family to tell you what kind of number of flock you might need. An average backyard flock is less than 7 chickens. For a large family of 5, you might want 5 to 6, maybe 7 chickens at the most. Generally 1 chicken per family member is a good number to do. And then you can build a coop, and we design it for folks. So we'll talk to them if they want it to match their home. We can do that. If we want it to look, like a steeple, we can make it look like a steeple. I've got a guy that wants one to look like the Oklahoma State Cowboys football stadium. So we got that coming up. But that being said, it's just really your imagination. But the coop really needs a few basic aspects. It needs proper ventilation. It needs roosting bars on the inside, because chickens actually sleep on what's called a roosting bar. Yeah, there's one of ours right there.
You guys
On
built
the-
that, right?
Yep, exactly. And on the inside, that's one that actually floats in the middle of the water right there. It's crazy.
Amazing.
That's for swans. But on the inside of the coop, you need roosting bars because they don't sleep on the ground. They sleep sitting up on a roosting area. And then they need a nesting box because chickens want to feel like a small confined space to lay an egg. So oftentimes you'll put like a little side box to the side of the coop where they can enter it from the inside of the coop and lay an egg, and you can retrieve it from the outside. So if you're looking right there, that's the nesting box right there on the right of the coop, just below the stained glass. So the students at that school, that's at a private school in Houston. The students at that school go out to that nesting box and they collect the eggs right there.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, I guess people living like in the city or the burbs need to figure out if it's even legal to have chickens, right?
Well, basically in Houston, it's illegal to pretty much have chickens unless you're 100 feet from your neighbor. So out of the near 400 chicken coops we have in backyards of Houston, I'd say 80% are illegal. And I say with all due respect, and Mayor Turner knows this very well, Nicole and I have written the city laws and rewritten them for the city to adapt to new laws because this is going to be such a new craze. We've kind of been ignored a little bit, and I still work on that quietly as much as we can. But that being said, a lot of our folks go rogue because girls don't make much noise. You heard our little girl making a noise earlier. She just wanted a little attention, and she may have just laid an egg too. So sometimes when they lay an egg, they may make a little noise. But roosters are the true problem chickens when it comes to making noise. So if you don't have a rooster, it doesn't matter. Hens are going to lay an egg no matter what.
So it's kind of like ask for forgiveness later if you get in trouble with the.
You want to be cool with your neighbors and maybe even talk to your neighbor. Hey, I'm going to get a couple of chickens. Y'all want some free eggs? We'll toss y'all a dozen eggs every now and again. And
there you go. And don't get roosters because then you'll be giving away that noise.
Exactly.
Love it. Okay. Yeah. Oh, so people were asking about feed. I definitely wanted to mention this. So you got Sweet Lucy behind you.
Yeah.
You guys are working on a new feed project. Tell me about
Yes,
this.
we are.
So Nicole and I were so right before the pandemic, a couple of years before the pandemic, we had a product in the market called Chicken Chew. And it only left the market because we had a disagreement with our ownership. And basically we walked with the formula, the design, a lot of the different aspects of the feed brand. But we decided to give it some new light and some new good mojo, and we rebranded it into Sweet Lucy. And so we were in 46 states out of the nation, and it's a whole feed. You can identify everything you put in your hand. You scoop it out of the container, and you can identify every seed. There's no mystery pellets. It's non-GMO. It's corn-free, soy-free. So really, what we're going to do with Sweet Lucy and the way we're going to brand this is that we're going to procure from a lot of Texas farmers. So I would say aside of our organic kelp being inside of it, mostly it's all going to come from Texas farmers that we're going to be transparent with where we're coming from and where our product's coming from. And that'll be out in the next 60 days or so, give or take a little bit.
Wow, that's exciting.
It is. You can find that on your link too. So on the Garden Hen, if you already have chickens, you can get a free sample of Sweet Lucy and 15% off your first order if you go to the Garden Hen website. And there's a link to Sweet Lucy on there.
Yes, and I've linked that website down in my description. So check that out, you guys. Okay, any last words for my viewers?
Thanks for having us on.
Yes,
we enjoyed it.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.